Hey everybody, I hope you're having a wonderful day, and I'm bringing a new DJI NEO video to you today because I've been having a conversation with a few different people, and what I found out has actually surprised me. And the whole NEO series of drones is aimed really at the complete beginner, the newbie, whether it be the newbie to FPV, the newbie to drones entirely, or whatever. The DJI NEO has come along in its 150 gram state and has offered us things that we can't do before. So we can fly this autonomously. We can literally put it up in the sky, we can turn it on, but it will just take off, no controller attached. So a newbie who has never flown a drone before will buy this, press a button, and it takes off. No app, no phone, no controller, nothing is required. And that brings us to a few points that I've been having conversations with people about over the past few days. Point number one is, if you buy this and you are a newbie, I do hope that you're able to find this channel. This channel is aimed at beginners to drones, whether it's FPV drones, camera drones, or selfie drones. It's really important that the first thing you do is check the regulations. Now, the problem with the regulations is there's that many of them in the UK that it gets very confusing very quickly and can be difficult to understand. There's a whole suite of rules that you need to follow, but there's two in particular that I want to talk about today. The first one is, we have a very strict rule, certainly here in the UK, that you must maintain visual line of sight of your drone at all times. Now, one of the modes on the DJI NEO is follow me, and it will follow you behind you, it will track behind you. If the drone is behind you, you can't see it. The other issue with the other rule that's associated with that is you have to maintain control of the drone at all times. And again, if you're walking and it's behind you, you don't actually have control of it. However, there is a less well-known part of the regulations that does actually allow for you to fly out of visual line of sight, and that is in the drone and model aircraft code. Point number 35, flying with follow me mode active. Some drones or model aircraft have a follow me mode. That means you can set your aircraft to follow you within a fixed distance. You do not have to keep your drone or model aircraft in direct sight when follow me mode is active and set to follow within 50 meters of you. You must still follow all the other points. So, provided you set your NEO up to stay within 50 meters of you and follow you, you don't have to keep it in visual line of sight as long as it's in follow me mode. Now, that doesn't mean that you can take off with the controller and fly behind a building that's 49 meters away. It has to be in the autonomous mode, the active track mode. People do come here because I provide content for the beginner, and I think it's a really important point to note. We've got new membership perks for the original membership tier, so the membership price hasn't increased, but now you will include priority reply to comments. So I do try and reply to every single comment. However, if you ask me a question that requires a full answer, if you remember, I'll try and give a much fuller answer than I would normally, because I do get a lot of comments. It also includes behind the scenes exclusive photos, so you might see behind the scenes to this video if you remember. And it's just a cool way of supporting the channel. You'll also get a shout out on every single video that's over 7 minutes long. This video, I'm going to assume, will be over 7 minutes long. So shout out to our current members, Jedi FPV and Barry Morgan FPV. Thank you very much, guys. If you could like, comment, share and subscribe while you're here, that's the whole YouTuber business out of the way. So, now the other point for newbies and beginners that I wanted to make is the DJI NEO doesn't need an app, doesn't need a controller to just take off. And that in itself could cause or could be very problematic in certain scenarios. So if you are a beginner who's never flown a drone before and you've found this video brilliant, please do stick around, because I'll be doing a full review of it, and I'll be making lots of videos like this where we just inform on specific points rather than it being stuck in the middle of a half an hour review. If you're a beginner, I cannot stress to you enough, download an app called Drone Assist. Find your location in Drone Assist and have a look in your local area where there is enhanced warnings. An enhanced warning is basically, it means you can fly, but there may be issues when you fly, so be extra cautious, and it'll tell you what those reasons are. There may be an SSI, which means potentially at certain times of the year you can't fly there. So for instance, over a cliff where there's nesting birds between this month and this month, or around prisons, airports and critical infrastructure, there are what is called flight restriction zones, or you may hear some people refer to them as no-fly zones. The problem is the NEO will take off in these zones because DJI have removed all their geofencing. Now, I have seen some YouTubers try to take off in a geo zone and the NEO refuse. As far as I'm aware, and I've checked this morning, DJI have removed all their geo zones. So that that potentially will cause a problem. But like I say, I have seen some YouTubers try to take off and it's a drone in geo zone, please check app. So fingers crossed that they've applied the geo zone to this. I just can't see it anywhere. However, the flip side is this drone does not need GPS to fly. So if you was to power it on dead quick and get it to take off instantaneously, it won't have acquired GPS satellites. And if it hasn't acquired GPS satellites, it won't know it's in a geo zone. It doesn't need to know it's in a geo zone because it'll just take off and fly in the autonomous mode using the AI in the camera to follow whatever it's been told to follow, or the sensors underneath, etc. So please do download Drone Assist if you are a beginner to drones, because ultimately, if you are to fly somewhere that you're not allowed to fly and you do end up getting into trouble with the police, sadly, rightly or wrongly, the defence of I didn't know the drone shouldn't have taken off if I wasn't allowed to fly here isn't a defence in the law, I'm afraid. Now, whether I agree with that or not is another story entirely, but sadly within the law it is not a defence. So the NEO is a great drone for beginners. It is a jack of all trades. Whether it masters any of those, we're going to have to find out in the review. I've not yet flown it in FPV mode, but I shall be doing that weather dependent very soon. And once I've flown it in FPV mode, I'll have a full review of it. I could put a review out now using just the RCN2 and the autonomous modes, but it's a drone that does so much more than that, and I think it's only fair, because it does so much more than that, that we at least give it the full shrift of its ability and show exactly what it's capable of. So please do subscribe and hit that bell icon, because the video will be up hopefully very soon. And if you do have any questions, please do leave them down below. Ask anybody here that's been here from the start. I am notorious for answering every one of the comments. It doesn't matter that I've got 12,000 subscribers, I will always reply to your comment as best as I possibly can.